welcome back to the second segment of the Arnette Report, and we have Wede Gibson with us. And Wede, I am just really interested in what's going on with Textbooks on Africa. And I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit, what's it all about?
Textbooks Africa is a 501c nonprofit that collects used books, computers, and school supplies to send to children in Africa.
Wow. How did you come up with this idea and how to help?
I'm originally from Liberia in West Africa, and during the Civil War in Liberia, I was a school teacher, and one of my challenges was getting books in the hands of students. Once I immigrated to the U.S. and had my son, when I went to his school, one of the things that I realized was that books were being thrown away at the end of the school year that students couldn't use anymore, or they were being recycled. So I took that opportunity to start collecting books, use notebooks, workbooks that students didn't use, even crayons, to ship back to children in Africa. And that's how I started Textbook Africa. And now we're a 501c nonprofit. We have a website, textbookafrica.org.
And so you have schools and people, folks in different areas that will donate these supplies?
Yes, we've made contacts with schools in the area and also outside of Virginia. And usually if they're getting new books and switching out the old ones, they will contact us.
Sure.
So we're able to get complete sets of textbooks, sometimes for 25 or more students in a class. And that way we're able to consolidate them for classrooms for children in Africa.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
We also collect library books as well. And like I said, workbooks, and we get supplies like visual aids. We also get computers and projectors that can be used in the classroom.
Oh, so it's not just books, it's, you know, all the stuff that kids normally need for school.
Correct. Correct.
That's pretty cool.
We collect all that, new or used. Most of the time we're able to recycle because our nonprofit brings about two vital concerns, education and the environment.
Now, the unique thing about this, I think, is that one of the things is about what the kids, the conditions that they're living under. And I was wondering if you could share a little bit about that.
The challenge for most children in Africa is access to education. Part of that first starts with what's happening at home. Do they have food on a daily basis? You know, how many meals do they eat per day? How far do they have to travel to go to school? Is there a school in the area where they live? How many children do you have in the classroom? So some of them are still experiencing armed conflicts or the aftermath of armed conflicts. And so education is very important in my view in helping people get out of poverty. And having been in a civil war in Liberia and coming here to the U.S., I realized the value of education and understand what these children have to go to daily. And some of them, when they do get to school, they may not have chairs or desks. They may sit on the floor. There may be just one classroom for maybe several hundred students. Sometimes there's just maybe one book, and the teacher might be the only one with that book.
Yeah.
So anytime books can be sent to children in Africa, there are a lot of people that benefit from that.
Now, there's people out there that probably would like to maybe donate. Can they also give you cash if they don't have access to books?
We always need money to be able to ship the books and supplies to Africa. And I invite people to go to our website, textbookafrica.org.
Textbookafrica.org. Okay.
And on that site, we have a how to help page. On that page, they can make donation online. They can send us a check in the mail, or they can contact us if they have a donation, and we can arrange pickup.
You know, we see things on TV where somebody donates food or clothing or whatever, and they see go, and then we find out in some cases that it's stuck on the dock and that somebody's holding it up and it doesn't go to the intended people that you were hoping to send it to. How do you put up and fight that?
Right. We're aware of that challenge because 3 of our board members are from Africa, and we have had a number of shipments, so we're experienced with dealing with that. Part of our model is not just to ship the books and supplies to Africa, but also to make sure it's not from port to port. We do it from door to door, meaning when we source for funding to send books and supplies to Africa, it includes what it would cost to take it from the U.S. through a port here in the U.S. to another port in Africa, and then to a school or community where it's used.
Oh, wow. So you're with it the whole way.
Correct.
That's great.
Right. And we also want to be able to do reports after we do our shipment. And we're aware that sometimes, when you have the situation you described, where books and supplies are left at the port, if customs is not paid, for storage and demurrage, eventually those supplies can be auctioned off or trashed. So our model is to make sure that our funding we get is enough to get the books in the hands of those who need it the most. And again, we always welcome assistance from the public and from companies. We're always looking for companies to partner with, and we're flexible with the packages we offer for sponsorship.
So as part of what you're doing to sustain financially the process of getting the donations out of your hands and into the hands of the students that need it, that's a challenge financially as well as it is physically, isn't it?
Yes, it is. My son is first year in college, and a lot of his years in middle and high school was going with me and other volunteers to collect books.
Oh, wow.
And sometimes they're stored in my house in the garage, or we have to find a storage facility to put it in. And this is also something where we need help with. At the current time, we're using a lot of public storage facilities, and we will welcome the opportunity to get storage space as well if someone has that to donate to us.
Good, because I wanted to ask you, where do you need the help the most? And part of it's storage. So if somebody has a little bit of storage space that you could put some boxes of books.
We need at least 2,000 square feet of storage space to move out of where we are.
Mm-hmm.
But our greatest challenge is getting the money to ship the books. We are able to, for now, manage the storage facilities we have. But at the current time, we need to ship out what we already have. So financial donations are more needed at the present time. And those donations, again, can be done on our website, textbookafrica.org. And we also have a GoFundMe page for our current shipment, which is going to Zimbabwe.
Wede, give us a success story. Tell us, you've been doing this how many years now?
At least since 2003.
Okay. So a couple dozen years, and the question becomes, give us, what's a success story? What a student that you didn't think was going to make it, and they did.
I would say that would be for St. Teresa's Convent. It's an all-girls Catholic school in Liberia. Mm-hmm. That was the school where I attended, I graduated from there, and that was where I taught during the war. One of our shipments we did was to send a full container of books and supplies, and this was at a time where the school was in dire need of books and supplies for the children in that school, and they had contacted a number of donor agencies and alumni here in the U.S., and it was very challenging to get the books and supplies that they needed. But once those books and supplies were in the hands of these students, we have pictures of that also on our website. It helped a great deal to improve the learning process. And similar to what students in the U.S. here have to go through, they have to sit through the West African exam, and the books and supplies that we sent was very helpful in getting the students to pass those exams to be able to go to college.
Can you give us an idea about what a typical day is like for one of those students?
A typical day for a student in, I'll take Liberia or Africa in general, will be, again, the first thing is, do they have enough food to eat? Do they have breakfast to eat before they go to school? Do they have transportation to get to school? And can they go to school without the sound of bullets or rocket-propelled grenades, or having to be in school and then all of a sudden have to run home because there is some armed conflict or something going on along those lines? Or maybe, there is the aftermath of that, but which sometimes leads to some issues with kids in school. And one of the things we found that I found to be helpful was some of the books and supplies we send, especially for younger age, like K through first grade, is sending teddy bears with the books, and also educational DVDs. Those have been helpful, and some of those kids, like I said, when they get to school, again, what access do they have at school? They don't have computers like here, students here in the U.S. They don't have e-books that some people might have access to. They may or may not have most of them do not have electricity in school, or perhaps even running water.
Is there internet access at the schools?
No, there's not. There's very few schools in Africa where they have internet access, but for the most part, most schools do not have the basic necessities like we have here in the U.S.
What's the one thing you would like us to take away from this story about what's happening with what you're doing? What's the most important thing that we should remember?
That we're all global citizens, and that we all have a responsibility to help each other. This is a nonprofit that seeks to enlighten the minds of children in Africa. Simply put, our mission is to reuse, educate, and inspire. And when we look at recent development in the world, like the Ebola crisis or even the Zika virus that's going on right now, education is very important in helping people understand issues with healthcare, or when those diseases break out, what they can do to prevent it. And this is one way we can help to alleviate that, and also to help people come out of poverty.
And the schools help do that.
Correct.
This is such a wonderful story. Thank you so much for coming tonight. And, I'd like to see if we could book you into another time, maybe in a couple of months down the road, and we'll talk some more about how we can help. And we'll be wrapping things up tonight. Thank you so much for dropping by. And if you'd like to know more about Wede Gibson's website, it's called
textbooksafrica.org, or you can find us on Facebook or Twitter.
textbooksafrica.org. Thanks for stopping by. We'll be right back next month with another guest. Thanks so much.